happens to be 60 acres. This is the square that's the center of everything. By the way, that's also a retention pond. That's a water retention pond. And then we have 4-story buildings, shops, offices, apartments, and this isn't quite built out yet. It's all meant to be big. But you know this big square that we have, Seaside feels big if you've been there, right? Really big. The entire town center of Seaside fits here. That's it, the scale. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. It's not that much bigger than the Villaggio shopping center. And this what teaches you about, and the Villaggio shopping center, with all due respect, is what it is, but it's not very memorable. Okay? The Villaggio shopping center potentially is bigger than the town center of Seaside in terms of square feet. And this is where design matters, because that laid out differently could have had much more impact than it does now. Right now, it is a kind of nice looking strip shopping center, but that's all. Okay, and this is Seaside from the air. The entire Seaside is here. This is watercolor. This is what? Seagrove Beach, and all that fits here. This is your road. These are the condos we've been looking at. This is, I think, one of the lots that belong to WCI right on the shore, and the entire Seaside fits before the first wetland, their full depth. It's only a quarter mile. Which is to say, this could have been a series of Seasides. If anybody thought about it, and by the way, it was a little early to think about it in 1970, but by 1980, you might have seen something happening worth value. This could have been a series very easily, like 30A and Walton County. So now we're working to retrofit it. Fortunately, very little of the back has been built. There's a lot to be done back there. Next. And this is, of course, this is the second one of ours. This is even better than Seaside. This is Rosemary Beach. You should have seen it. The main street. You should have seen it last weekend. Really civilized people. You know, honestly, they were drinking cocktails on the street. It was like a movie. You know? Not exactly the pizza joint in the Butler building. And did I tell you what the value was here? Did I mention it already?
No.
At the beginning? Oh, no.
You mentioned
12.
Beach.
12. I mentioned Alice. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mentioned it's much higher real estate value. And this is Alice Beach. And here you have that grain of town building. You know, small lots, apartments, townhouses, all put together right there. Now, these are the land values done, I think, 6 months ago. Sales in 2011. Seaside selling for 650 square. By the way, in the depth of the recession, right? Seaside selling for $650 a square foot, and on down. And by the way, this is Seagrove Beach, which is nice, but it's not planned. See what happens? Even when you're nice and full of trees, it's about a third the value. Planning is incredibly valuable. The only difference between Seagrove Beach, they share the same beach, and they have the same trees. The only difference is that Seaside is planned and this isn't. It really is, so you can say, you can predict it literally. Next.
It's Rick.
Okay, Rick is going to go now. Okay, Rick Hall is going to, because when we first arrived, it was all about the traffic and all about the street. Okay, that's what you wanted to talk about. And then we moved on from there. But that doesn't mean that the traffic and the streets goes away. So we have Rick Hall, which is going to present actually how do you make your thoroughfares, not only for cars but also for people. I misled some of you in the early presentations because I thought that actually if we actually created friction here, we should just increase the friction and then people would take I-98. But I was thinking of Walton County, where it's relatively close. Here they're not going to do it. I'm completely convinced that no one in Alabama that can do this is going to do that. Okay? So we have to deal with what we have. This is not going to go away. We have to turn Perdido Key Drive into a thoroughfare. But let's think of it as people who actually have wallets in those cars, okay? And they might actually stop for dinner and so forth. Yeah?
US 98. Just a little typo.
US 98.
Yeah.
Okay, that's US 98, but I just want to absolutely clear up what I said in an earlier presentation. We're not counting on that bypass. What Rick is going to describe is what happens to all the traffic that's going to come here and how we're going to love it because they have wallets. and its people that may actually be our friends.
Andres,
Yep.
excuse me, say again, we will need to turn Perdido Key to a thoroughfare